Hello. Welcome back to another episode of Optimize, the Prime Podcast. I'm Lazina, and I'm here with my co-host Nasheed, and we are excited to have Vishnu, who I've just kind of adopted as a Bollywood star, um, or just a Guyanese star by whichever one fits. We'll make it work, right? Say hi, Nasheed and
Hi,
Vishnu.
hi to everyone, and we would love to hear all the stories from the Vishnu, right? Whether it's in Hollywood, whether it's in Bollywood, but definitely you have some stories to tell, right? So Vishnu, it's all
Oh,
about you.
I'm happy to be here, and I got glad to get to meet Lazina. What maybe about a year, maybe a little bit more now,
More than that, yeah.
and Nasheed, good to meet you. Yeah, thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Vishnu, tell us a little bit about yourself and what do you do right now?
Yeah, so I run an agency that teaches an amazing philosophy called the New Art of Living, and essentially, just to make a long story short, essentially addresses the three major concerns that we find in society right now here in North America. People want time freedom, they want money freedom, and they want happiness. And it's funny that we see that some people have all the time in the world, but they got no money. Like those are guys like, yeah, I'm down for whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, it costs money. Yeah, I can't do that. And then they have the people that have a lot of money, but then there's no time.
Yeah.
And then there's people that have both. There's time and money, and they're miserable or doing stupid stuff. That's where you see most of Hollywood, unfortunately, where they're in and out of jails like a revolving door.
Mhm.
So we teach this amazing philosophy that actually addresses those three things. I'm very happy that we get to do that.
Yeah. I'm really glad that you do that as well. I think it's eye-opening to see what we were once taught and what is actual really reality and what is out there. Um, can you share a little bit about what it was like, growing up and what you learned about stability, success, or what the good life looks like?
Yeah, yeah. So um my parents both came from Guyana,
Mhm.
and they moved from America 3 years before I was born. So I was born here and got to see as a child growing up what it's like for my parents to come to a new country and learn something new and be able to start from the ground up. And when I say ground up, I was very proud to see what they've accomplished in those years of not just their growth, but then to think that they did it coming from somewhere that they're brand new.
Yeah.
And like my dad gave you a perfect example with him, and my mother is very much the same. But he was a teacher in Guyana that came from a rice farming family.
Mm.
So even in Guyana, he said, "I don't want to do that. I want to do something different."
Yes.
So his whole family, up to now, they're rice farmers, but he was a teacher.
Mhm.
And then he came to America and he had to start from scratch. So he started with going through school again
Yeah.
and worked his way up to get his PhD in accounting and finance. And long story short, now he eventually, when he retired, I'm not allowed. No, if I'm sure if I'm allowed to say the names, but he retired from working as the number two of a major credit union in America.
Okay.
And then when he retired from there as their number two guy, he went to work for FDIC, Federal Depository Insurance Company.
Okay.
And I say that because I was very proud to see where he came from and what he did to get to where he was. And then my mother followed along suit with her master's degree in investment banking.
Mhm.
So for me, I saw what success and stability looked like because when we saw times get rough and people were unsure of their next move in society when economies and markets crashed,
Mhm.
I got to see my parents like, no problem. It
Mhm.
wasn't an issue. So we always got to live a very comfortable life. So for me, that was what the definition of stability and success looked like. It was when things get rough and things become unpredictable, I'm in control of my fate and not the outside sources.
Yeah.
To be able to work to get to there. So my motivation was always to be there and better.
Mhm. That's awesome. I like that you took a lot of those what could have been high pressured situation and turned them into inspiration and gratitude because you, I always tell the story that when I grew up in Guyana, I felt like it was limited. I had some cousins that worked in the banks, but I felt
Uh-huh.
like that was so out of reach, and that was so embedded in me, even when I came here. My brother had a very good understanding of entrepreneurship and the world and what's out there. But
Uh-huh.
I just still felt like that wasn't for me, and that was so out of touch, and I couldn't even reach it. So I feel like we walk two different lives, but I love that we still ultimately end up seeing the golden nugget in a way.
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
And I like that you're teaching those philosophies too, because I think it's so important. I didn't I didn't really start my journey of empowerment, so to speak,
Right.
until like 5, 6 years ago. So, if I knew a lot, and you know what? I don't want to say if I knew a lot. I did know there were people who were around that were like saying, "Hey, let me show you something new. Let me
Right.
introduce you to another idea that you may not know about." And I got scared because my fears came up, my not good enough feeling came up. And so I wasn't able to be open minded to say, let me see this thing through. Even if it's not for me, I'm going to be able to learn something from it. Nishit,
Right.
do you have any?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Like the three philosophy you're talking, it's very important because when we start anything like starting entrepreneurship, like changing jobs and everything, or we were talking about the retirement plans and others. Like these three things are correlated to each others, and often we fall behind, and at the end of our life, and we see like we have a lot of money, and we don't have time, or we don't have the people, we don't have the friends, we don't plan accordingly. So if we know it before, and I wish, listening to your philosophy, like I wish I could have met you before, so that I can have a plan, and see the world, to see the world with these philosophies and others, because it's very important. And it's the one, like, you can make things happen in your life. Yeah. So maybe once I read, like, if you don't have enough money, it's the best time to travel. And you don't want to travel to the, let's say, the Hollywood or any other places. Travel to your own country, and you can make the best time, because when you have money, more money, your expectation got higher, right? So your mind didn't your mind will tell, like, oh no, this trip was, even though we had the best hotels, business class travels and everything, but and somehow, somewhat, the food was not good, somewhat the weather was not good, we are giving the complaints. So yeah, it's important, right? And I'm really excited to know more about throughout this podcast and learn, and I'm sure the audience will as well.
So, Vishnu, one of the things that I've heard you talk about is that you came from a corporate life, and stepping more now into the three philosophies that you're teaching has been a different transition. I think for me, I still have half of my foot in the corporate life too, and the challenges that I face are it can be very frustrating because oftentimes I'm looking at the ways that I put my worth in in that, or also how dependent I used to be for it.
Uh-huh.
And then there's this level of I would work and I would produce, but it didn't feel fulfilling because I wasn't doing it for me. I was ultimately doing it for someone else. And that didn't feel like that doesn't feel like it doesn't come with that fulfilling feeling. It's like, wait, I have other things too that I'm really good at that I can
Mhm.
maximize. And if I take the same energy and put it towards that, l- life becomes better. But I was tied to security. I was tied to survival mode. So can you talk a little bit about how that transition happened for you?
Yeah, that's a very powerful question because there's so many facets to that.
Go into
Mhm.
all of them.
Yeah,
We're gonna go on
yeah,
every one. We're good. We're
yeah.
hitting every
Don't
one
stop.
of
Don't stop. We have time, right?
them. So my background was in healthcare management.
Mhm.
My degree is in healthcare management, and my career was always working on the management side of healthcare, where I started off in a local hospital here and working in their cancer institute. And then later transitioned to different drug companies and working in their operations and helping them with their businesses. And I loved that career because it gave me fulfillment in terms of, well, first financially. I mean, they say they want time or money freedom. I had time. Money was not an issue.
Yeah.
Um, I had a lot of traveling time because that job requires a lot of traveling, and what better way to travel than have somebody else pay for it? So my job requires, here's your company credit card, and if you need to go book a flight, go book a flight. So that was a passport to go wherever I want, as long as it was business centric and it was required for operation. So it gave me a lot of what I was looking for in life: money freedom and time and travel freedom. And as at that time, my wife and I, we were able to enjoy that life together. We traveled everywhere together. She came with me most places I went, and we enjoyed traveling all over the U.S. and life was good. But eventually, there came a dissatisfaction, which was a wonderful blessing. My son was born. Now he's 7 years old. So 7 years ago, my son was born. And we know as parents that we say we'll do everything for our kids. But if you go to a sporting event, let's just say a sporting event with your child,
Mhm.
and I played baseball growing up, so I'm going to use baseball as an example. You have all those kids on that baseball field, but you're focusing on your child alone,
Yeah.
to the point where one child gets in the way. He's like, "Move! I can't see my son. Get out of the way!" Right? You don't care who's the main star of that particular play. You want to see what is your son doing.
Yeah.
But guess what? The mirror goes both ways,
Mhm.
because the same way those little eyes are looking at us, and we say we'll do everything for them, but are we really?
Mhm.
Because sometimes we might try to find the comfortable way instead of going the uncomfortable way to do what we want for them. So the reason why I say that is because when he started talking was when the blessing and curse came at the same time. Because my life was, at that point when he was born, my wife wasn't traveling with me anymore. Now she's staying home and taking care of him while I leave every Monday and come back probably every Friday, maybe Saturday. So I'm gone all week.
Mhm.
And when he starts talking was when things change. Because every Monday morning when I'll go into his room, he's usually asleep, and I'll give him a kiss in his crib and leave for the airport. This one morning, he woke up, he stood up in his crib, held on to that railing, and I'll never forget the look on his big, beautiful brown eyes, and looked me in the eye and said, "Daddy, don't go. I want you to be here with mommy and mommy and me. Why do you have to keep leaving? Why can't you stay and play with us?" And that's when it hit me that this life is no longer the life for me, because now it turned into, where's my time freedom? And that's when the dissatisfaction happened, that I said something's got to change.
Mhm.
I didn't know what the answer was, but something had to change.
Yeah.
And as I get surrounded and deeper into my career, the dissatisfaction grew more, that this is not fun anymore. My wife is not with me and I'm missing my son.
Mhm.
And it was funny that I have a great friend of mine that has been entrepreneur as long as I've known him. We went to high school together, and he went to college, and he's been entrepreneur all his life.
Mhm.
And he sat down with me and said, "Why don't you go into entrepreneurship where you can control yourself? You
Right.
can control everything about your life." I said, "No, man, I don't want business. I want to swipe in, swipe out, and not be my issue.
Right.
I want to be able to have someone pay me for my time so that I can say, nope, time's up. I'm done."
Mhm.
And that's when I started learning the difference between self-employment and business.
Mhm.
Because what I was describing was self-employment, where I had to be there to make money.
Yeah.
But true business doesn't require me, it requires systems in place
Mhm.
to make money. So the owner of any big business is not there working in the business. They're working on, how do I multiply this business?
Mhm.
So I just happened to run into the right people at the right place at the right time that started teaching me this philosophy and learning what true business and entrepreneurship is and expanding my mindset of growth and control. Because one thing that you said, Lizina, and it resonated with me was I like the security.
Mhm.
I have a need for security.
Mhm.
But the question was, do I really have security if I can't control if I'll have a job tomorrow?
Correct. Yeah.
Because somebody else can always say, "You know what? We don't need you anymore. We don't need your department anymore." Or we don't like the way you comb your hair. You got to be gone.
Mhm.
Someone else has the control. So there's no security. But when I'm in entrepreneurship, I have all the control, which
Absolutely.
is scary,
Yeah.
but also empowering because there's no limits to what I can accomplish. But at the same time, there's no limits to how far my pick can fall.
Mhm.
And I run that gamble and I already pre-negotiate the price. And that's the difference when you see entrepreneurs that actually take the leap
Mhm.
versus those that wanna stay back or are still negotiating that
Mm.
if they wanna take the leap.
Yeah.
Is pre-negotiating the price you're willing to pay.
Mhm.
And for me, the price was, I'm gonna struggle a little bit in the beginning
Yeah.
because I need to
Right.
figure this out.
Mhm.
I'm gonna
Absolutely.
transition from someone's giving me money to me going out there and making money. I'm gonna transition from somebody I'm asking somebody for my time versus I control my time.
Mhm.
I'm gonna have some struggles. I'm gonna have some wins. I'm gonna have some losses. I'm gonna have some ups. I'm gonna have some downs. But
Right.
I pre-negotiate that price because I know when my son is my age, he will look back and tell his son, your granddad was always around.
Yes.
Right.
We did everything together. And up
Absolutely.
to now, I my calendar is one of my biggest things. If it's on my calendar, it's gonna happen, and there's no negotiation about it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And to the point where he's on my calendar every day, where there's always dad son time,
Mhm.
and he loves it. And you know how proud I am that I know that I'm doing that for him.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So the transition was not hard once you realize the dissatisfaction. Dissatisfaction is strong enough
Yeah.
that the why keeps you going.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing that. I completely resonate with your story about the ones where we would do anything for our children, right? Um,
Right.
I find that in my life I have done that. I have said that and I lived up to it and I went to it. And when the challenges came up, I still found a way to do what's best for them. And one of the things that I love that I embraced was that there are these um there are these things that we can do for our children that sets them up for success way before they're even toddlers. And I had no idea
Mhm.
about that, you know. I
Mhm.
um I think it was like a maybe 4 years ago or so, I found myself, well, 6 years ago, I found myself being the single parent and the sole caregiver. And I'm like, holy crap, I'm responsible for these children now. They have to go into the world. They're gonna have to go to college, and I'm gonna be the one that's gonna be like, that's gonna be carrying that weight. And there was a lot of pressure, and it was a lot of truth that happened at that time too, because what I started to look at was how money mindset was playing a factor in that. And
Mhm.
um yeah, just money mindset alone was really, really scary. And as a woman, and I don't say that as in a limiting way or anything like that. It's just that I didn't know what's on the other side. If someone were to tell me to make an investment here or do invest in myself this way or invest in my children that way, I was already like, that's too much. I don't understand it. I don't know how to make it work or anything like that. So
Mhm.
when I started to pay more attention to money and how money works and understanding that I may not I don't have to do step A so that my children can get the benefits of it, but I can also take the time to truly understand what people are saying and learn about all of the different laws that are out there, all of the different products that are out there without the fear and just genuine curiosity so that I can put my children in accounts that will make them tax-free millionaires in their
Mhm,
future, you know? And I'm so glad that
mhm,
that's one of the steps that I took, because that truly is, I will do anything for my children. Well, now is the time. Put aside like $90 in accounts that will just keep growing over time, regardless of
mhm.
the market. I'm even saying words like market. You know, it's like
Right.
understanding, taking the time to truly understand what's out there. We're not limited by our circumstances, where we come from. I mean, the only thing that's limiting us really is what we feel on the inside and how we embrace that. Nasheed, I
Yeah.
feel like I'm talking a lot. Take it, please.
No, no, no. Yeah, I was listening. I was listening, and I'm just relating, right?
Yeah.
It's relating to my stories and everything. So my uh and like Vishnu, like I was also in the corporate, but my purpose driven or my changes happen is like I was stuck. I thought I was stuck because I always give this example like in those careers, 16 years in corporates, all the fascinates, all the six-figure salaries and everything. At the end of the day, everyone was happy. And I was like, every time I was saying this example, like I was selling ice cream, right? Everyone is happy. But at the back of the mind, I was not happy. My growth stuck because I was thinking about the new technologies and everything because I worked in a telecom. So technology was a very key that period of time, talking about 2016. But you know, the multinational company is something like you cannot change anything and everything all on a sudden because they have a very spontaneous growth, very good growth and everything. Telecom is like the people they're giving the high paid salaries and everything. So I was looking for a scope to leave that job and start in the startup journey. I never thought of entrepreneurship, never ever thought of that because my father and my brothers and my sisters and everything, no one was entrepreneur or the businessman. My father was an army veteran, right? So 35 or 30 years of army military jobs, right? Even though I was in the military school wearing those uniforms and everything. So we never had any kind of entrepreneurship mindset. But 2.5 years when I built two startups and I got the confidence like, hey, being an IT guy working at the back end and wearing the new suit because I ordered the new suits, new watches because I saw a lot of salespeople wearing the shiny shoes and everything, and I was wondering why not? If they can do it, why can't I? And somehow, somewhat, I was very good in communicating, and then 2.5 years that changed my life. And my father was under dialysis for the last 3.5 years, like 2000 to 2023, right? That time, I realized that purposely, this entrepreneurship life gave me a full fulfillment. Staying with my dad, running a business, taking care of my kids, playing with them. Even I was teaching in the university, just staying beside my father, who was having the dialysis, and I was teaching my students, and everything happens. And he died in 2023, and but I always thank myself and my entrepreneurship journey. Even if I do the 9 to 5 job, I couldn't be there. And not any single seconds. He opened his eyes and he asked, like, can you tell Nashid to be with me? No, never happened. So the day I put him in for the dialysis, the day I put him in the grave, I was always there. So that's a purpose driven entrepreneurship. And that's I bought my time and I'm buying my time for it for for the things I own, right? And I had a feeling back in the startup life, like why I'm making other company rich, why not I start my own? And
Mhm.
I can 200% relate, Vishnu, like uh, giving time. There are times if you build the system will work for you. You can spend time watching movies with your kids in a movie theater, and the system will run. And you come back energized and work for next 5 hours. And by
Mm,
that time, everyone was sleeping, but you work 5 hours to regain your, let's say, the gap, and nobody was stopping you. And this period of time, because we are a tech company, we're providing AI or softwares to optimize people's work. So a lot of layoffs are happening, and we are thinking like, oh, our job is secure because we are providing the technology, right? And probably it will secure for the next 10 years. So that's what we are right now. and love your story. And listen, I love your story as well, right?
Thank
So
you.
I can relate.
Thank you.
I can relate.
You know, Vishnu, one thing I wanted to also touch on is that a couple years ago I read the Rich Dad Poor Dad and the Cash Flow Quadrant series. Because a friend of mine recommended, he's like, Lizina, you got something, read this. And when I read that, I also read Tony Robbins' book, Money, at the same time too. So it was like everything kind of like made sense. And I'm like, okay, so what Robert Kiyosaki was talking, I don't even know how I'm supposed to say his, but anyways, in the Rich Dad Poor Dad, it tackled the mindset, which made sense, and then in the Cash Flow Quadrant, it tackled the systems. And what you're experiencing and what you're sharing is the next level. It's about entrepreneurship, but then also business ownership, because
Uh-huh.
that's where owning six, I think he recommends 6 systems, so that the cash flow in that way. So I think as I'm learning and I started to dive more into what true business owner and entrepreneurship means, is essentially having that system, but also when you're in that position of a business ownership, that all those 6 hands or legs or tentacles are producing money, so you now have that freedom, and the time for your family. And I think that was something that I didn't quite understand, a couple years ago. But as I like open my mind to see what's out there, and those systems can be just about anything that comes from the person, but it could also be things that are also already out there. So when I talk to people, especially when it comes to financial mindset, don't limit yourself to just one experience. There's so many things that can be learned in different ways. And especially if you're somebody who doesn't know what your purpose is yet, or you haven't aligned with those things, take what's already there and make it work and
Uh-huh.
elevate yourself all the way up. Because even in like your organization, for example, the amount of personal development that's there, it's the same thing that Tony Robbins talks about. It's the same thing that Ed Milet speaks about. All of these motivational speakers are all talking about the same thing. You get to experience it on a whole different level. And not only does it
Mhm.
elevate your mindset, it also elevate you and the people that you're around. And it's a truly a growth and fulfilling experience. I personally feel like I witnessed that. Doc.
Yeah, great example is Ed Milet you mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
He has an amazing organization, um, and it's called the RTA Syndicate, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing organization. It's a coaching organization. It's to help you live up and elevate your business, your life, etc.
Yeah.
And I was so excited to be part of that organization.
Uh-huh.
And it was a few $1,000s just to apply to be part of that organization, and to be accepted in is to be accepted to be part of a blip on a Zoom screen.
Uh-huh.
And it was interesting because not too long after that, I ran into who now is my major mentor in business. And I realized that, wait a minute, he's saying the same thing that this Ed Milet guy is saying.
Mm-hmm.
Why is that? Come to find out that Ed Milet and him, and obviously now I, are all in the same business.
Yeah.
So I was able to cancel that membership
Yeah.
and get the same exact mindset and growth from just doing what I'm doing now by being part of the right groups. And it also taught me that there was a difference between vested versus non-vested interest in my growth.
Mm-hmm.
And in the organization where I paid X amount of dollars and say, here you go, here's my money, pour into me, he'll
Uh-huh.
do that because I paid for him.
Mm-hmm.
That's non-vested. He doesn't have vested interest in my growth.
Mm-hmm.
He just wants to get his money. Nothing wrong with that. That's his business model.
Uh-huh.
But then when you have true mentorship, they tend to have a vested interest in your growth.
Right.
They want you to succeed. And sometimes it's the point where when you succeed is when I succeed.
Right.
And we built our business model around that same philosophy of, do you want to get ahead? Go help else get ahead.
Mhm.
And by empowering others, how you empower yourself. So you're absolutely right. It's about being in the right environment. Sometimes going out of your shell to find the right environment
Mhm.
and submerging yourself in there so that you can see what you can soak up. And many times it could be uncomfortable.
Oh, yeah.
It could be out of the way. It can be inconvenient. But if you want to grow, there's a saying that I told when I was leaving the hospital to go leave the hospital to go work for the drug companies. I said, listen, if you want to grow, you got to go. You got to
Mhm.
be able to put yourself out there to make things happen. I resonate with exactly what you said.
Mhm.
It's the environment, it's the right people,
Yeah.
and soak it all up.
Mhm.
And I think Nasheed has this, philosophy is get out of your comfort zone. You don't he
Uh,
embodies it.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Comfort zone, yeah, absolutely.
Mhm.
You have to get out from the comfort zone. That's
Mhm.
the obvious one. But the point is, not everyone loves it. Yeah. And I once I met one of my colleague, and he said like, you need to have um, you need to have an inner strength to become an entrepreneur. Not everyone is made of it. And I was like, no, everyone can do it. Even you left the comfort zone. He said, no, I don't have that inner spirit. I don't have that inner strength. You can put me with $1 million money. I cannot run the business because I'm a 9 to 5 guy.
Mhm.
And I heard that time, and I now realize it's not for all. It's
Mm-mm.
not for there are a lot of people tried and everything, but they don't have the plan. Something is not there.
Mhm.
So they tried for a couple of years and they went, because I had my business partners, two of my business partner, we started it, and two after 1 year and 2 years, both of them are not there. Was not there because their 9 to 5 job is the main part of their inspirations. They
Mhm.
don't want to go to a customers and wait for the money and wait for the business, wait for the work orders, deals, because waiting kills them. Because there, if you are a 9 to 5 job, the meetings are on schedule. You will go do the meeting, boom, and you spread it.
Yeah.
And and I told them, right, we have a very good connections right now, very good relationship, and even though we are telling and sharing the business, I told them somewhere down the line, they had that ego that they cannot do apart from 9 to 5 job, do the business. So even though you left the comfort zone, you need to have your inner spirit, your self motivations, and you need to surround with so many people.
Mhm.
I made a mistake asking suggestions from some people who are dying for 9 to 5 job, and I was asking them how I will overcome the entrepreneurship struggle, how I pay my loans, how I do that. So that's the wrong direction I was heading every time.
Mhm.
Then I realized, no, I have to shut my mouth. I have to look for a mentors. I have to look for coaches. Coaches have coaches, right?
Mhm.
So that that period of time, I understand. Like, okay, not comfort zone, not everything. You need to have certain points,
Yeah.
like the framework what Vishnu was sharing. Like, it's very good. Like, you have everything, and if you can work with this point, like the maths, what we did in the schools and college, like point A equals to point B and proved, right?
Yeah.
So you
Mhm.
have that. You have that.
Yeah. So you touched on a lot that I would love to go deeper into because what you said was 100% right. It's the mentorship.
Right.
The mentorship is a major part of success, but not just the mentorship, but then the mentor helping you to shape your mindset. So
Absolutely.
when we talked about the philosophies that I teach was time, money, and happiness, the happiness comes from self-improvement and self-development.
Right.
Because a lot of people we see, they make decisions on who they are versus who they can become.
Right.
Mhm.
And they say that, no, that's not for me. I said, you're absolutely right. It's not for who you are today, but it's who you could become with the right guidance, mentorship, and mindset.
Mm.
You know, there's my dad told me this once, and I always love this lesson he gave me as a kid. If you say you're gonna do it, you're gonna do it.
Yeah.
But if you say you're not gonna do it, you're also correct. There's no way you can do it.
Mhm.
Your mind dictates what you can and cannot accomplish, as we see with Think and Grow Rich.
Yeah.
Napoleon Hill did a great job of exemplifying exactly that.
Mhm.
Is what we put in our mind is what's going to happen, because the reality is, as smart as our brain is
Yeah.
also not that smart, because
Yeah.
what it hears is what it believes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
one of the things that we teach is to make sure that we verbally read and feel our daily affirmations. I am
Absolutely.
this, I am that, I am thankful that I have this, I'm thankful that I do this. I'm Even though it hasn't accomplished yet or hasn't come to fruition, you speak it as if it's happening today.
Mhm.
And through that, your brain believes it, and it just happens just like that. You'll hear it if you ever go and check on YouTube and look at Steve Harvey speaking about the life that he's been through and where he is today. You'll see the number one thing that's got him to where he is today is mindset and belief.
Yeah.
A guy that was dyslexic and couldn't speak in front of his class is now a major television star.
Yeah.
It's mindset. So
Right.
I do believe that you're right. It's not for everybody,
Mhm.
but it's for anybody that's willing to learn and develop
Mhm.
Yeah.
and grow. Is there's people right now, they can't ride a bike.
Hmm.
Doesn't mean they can't learn, but
They don't have the right mindsets, right?
they limit their beliefs. Like, you know what? I can't do it. It's too hard. I give up.
Yeah.
And then the last thing with what some of your friends are, you're saying that they are stuck with the job because the job controls who they are and what they can and can't do.
Mhm.
Right.
There's another saying that says that um, that we don't despise, we will learn to accommodate. We will, if there's not enough hate for the position that we're in, we'll learn to just make it happen. Just go with it.
Yeah.
We'll learn to just live with it. But if
Absolutely.
there's enough dissatisfaction and then a strong why behind it, coupled with like what you said, Nasheed is a great mentor and coach behind the whole process, we can always get there.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I want to give you a compliment too, Vishnu. I think it's a lot to be said. And I feel like you understand this, but for you to be on a blip on the screen with Ed Milet is quite an accomplishment too. That's incredible,
Thank
and to elevate yourself into I again, most people just know entrepreneurship. They don't know business
Uh-huh.
ownership. And to the level of business ownership that you're at, I've witnessed it. I've seen how triumphant you are, and the difference that you're making in life. It's really commendable. And I'm not um I don't say this like in a, well, obviously it's coming from a pure place, but it's very
Mhm.
admirable to see, one of my countrymen like shining brightly that I know personally, that is, I can say, hey, he did it. Like he's doing it. That's the thing,
Well,
man. Go do that. It's really cool. Like I love that.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much. And
Mm.
I'm gonna go back to my dad because I have to give him a lot of credit for this.
Yeah.
He said that if someone, yeah, there's times where actually, I'll give you a real example. When I was younger, I had a hardest time trying to learn how to swim.
Mhm.
And living in South Florida, where there's pool, water, oceans, lakes, and canals everywhere,
Mhm.
swimming is not a sport. It's a necessity for survival.
Yeah.
You can easily fall into a body of water out here. So every kid needs to know how to swim.
Mhm.
And he took me to a camp, a summer camp, and part of that camp was, we're going to teach your kids how to swim by the time the camp is over. And he asked me, "Did you learn how to swim yet?" I said, "No, Dad." He said, "Why not?" Well, I said, "I think I'm probably heavier than the water. That's probably why." But but he said, we're just joking around. But then eventually I told him, I don't think I can. I don't think I'm able to. I just don't know.
Mhm.
And he asked me a question that I'll never forget. This is a life lesson that I've carried on till today. Has anyone else ever done it? I said, "Yeah, a lot of people swim." Well, that means that you can do it, but not only can you do it, you can do it better
mhm.
than them because you can learn from how they did it and improve it upon yourself.
Mhm.
As
Mm,
long as there is an example of success, it's duplicatable, but not only duplicatable, but you can make it better because you have someone that can show you the right and the wrong.
Yeah.
Long story short, I can swim now. That's the point. But
I'm glad.
it's just that he instilled that if someone else can do it, I can do and I can do better. Not to be cocky, but I'm just saying
Right,
that,
yeah, with great.
you can always learn from somebody else. And
Mhm,
I'm glad that
Mm,
I'm in an environment where everybody wants to teach other people. It's like, hey, don't do that. Let me tell you my mistake. Do it this way instead.
mhm.
And we're such a nurturing environment in business that we have that. You don't find that in the corporate world.
You really don't truly because I think the minute you have not you, the minute someone has an idea and they want to
uh-huh.
share that idea and it may come from their needing validation from someone else, instead of
Right.
leaders in corporate empowering you to thrive on that idea and make it yours, right? It becomes their fear, a reflection of their fear or the limitation that they believe that they have to follow and the standards that they have to follow. Even as I was taking different leaps, so every time I try to share information about growth or anything like that, there's certain people who are like, "Oh, don't do that." And they list all of the examples of why you shouldn't do it based on their life. And I
Mhm.
started to think one day, I was like, "Okay, I shared this entrepreneurship journey with someone." And I'm hoping that they would say, "Oh, wow, Lizina, that's really good. Let me learn more. I want to support you. I want to see you thrive." But instead, I got, "Don't ever do it. This is," and then, of course, the whole laundry list of why not. And when I sat there and I thought about it, I was like, a year ago, if I heard this, I would have taken that in and I would have not take any action whatsoever. I would have stood still. But when I really look back and I looked at their life and I'm like,
Yeah,
oh, that is really their fear. It has nothing to do
absolutely.
with me. So now to go, when
Mm,
you go into an environment where people are not speaking from fear, they're speaking from belief, they're speaking from uplifting, empowerment. That's a whole
mhm.
different feeling and environment. It can also be scary because now you and this is just in general. I think I've learned the more you elevate, the more we open our minds and start to expand our own consciousness, we're going to lose people along the way because we are now outgrowing our environment. That's not to say that they can't grow with us or we don't value them, but now we are looking at lens in a way that those things don't even apply to us anymore. We're not even thinking that way anymore. So to be able to take advice or seek validation from someone who's really not in that growth mindset, it can either break us or make us, and it could be the motivator that we needed to get out and do what we need to do for ourselves. So I definitely
Mhm.
appreciate the conversation around it. Now, oh, sorry, it
Yeah.
sounded like you wanted to say something.
Well, one thing I was just going to add to that was, I get those type of conversations as well.
Mhm,
Get those type of replies when I speak to others and try to share what I'm learning. And Nasheed, you mentioned this, and that is the greatest thing that you said was that I tend to echo is the worst thing an entrepreneur can do is take advice from a successful employee
Right.
because the mindset is different. But then Lazina, like you said, is that they have their beliefs that they try to throw on us.
mhm,
And the easiest way to answer that is just ask a question. Is that a truth or a fact?
mhm,
Because
Yeah.
a fact cannot be proven wrong,
mhm.
but a truth is what we hold to be true individually.
Yeah,
So your truth might be your truth, but that could also be not a fact.
mhm.
Right.
And I appreciate you for sharing your truth, but your truth is not mine.
Yeah, I love that.
True.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
it's brilliant. Now, before we wrap up our conversation, um, and it's such a good conversation too, I wanna go on forever. Um, what is from you personally, right, a strong and powerful message that you would like, anyone who's listening to this podcast to take away from us today?
Mhm.
Oh, so that's a great question. That's a very powerful question. I love that. We're going through very uncertain times in America right now.
Mhm,
Mm,
And speaking to my Canadian brothers, I know that North America as a whole is going through very uncertain times,
yeah,
both socially as well as economically. And we have been taught as kids, we collectively as Americans, Canadians, etc., we are taught how to go out there, go to school, get a job, and rely on someone else making us quote unquote successful. And we're starting to see the unraveling of that. Like, well, good word, truth. We're starting to see the unraveling of that truth
Mhm.
because there's now more uncertainty. And what we're seeing is that we're getting more and more people. Well, put it this way: years ago, dad went to work, mom stayed home with the kids.
Mhm.
Right.
Then fast forward, dad and mom are both working.
Mhm.
Today, dad and mom are working and both have 2 or 3 jobs and still can't make the bills.
Yeah.
So obviously the issue is not, let me go get another job, because that's not solving the problem. What I feel like what we need in society right now, not to put it as I'm selling myself, but I'm
Sell
selling
yourself.
the philosophies. How do we have time freedom, money freedom, and self-improvement to reach our full potential? This is a big one, the self-improvement
Mhm.
part, because we might want to achieve the other two, but without the self-improvement,
Right.
will we even get to where we're truly at the other two? So when I tell you that, I tell people when I work with their budgets, etc., I ask them a very interesting question. Tell me about your entertainment budget,
Mhm.
going out, movies, dinner, whatever. Now tell me about your self-improvement budget. Well, what's that? They've never heard of that. But if you speak to any successful entrepreneur, you named a few already, Ed Milet, etc., self-improvement is a major part of their budget.
Yep.
But we're not taught that in school. We're
Mhm.
taught how to not worry about that and go work for somebody else
Yeah.
so we can be controlled by
Yeah.
that system.
Right.
So my message to anybody that's listening is take control of your life.
Mhm.
Take control of your destiny. Don't worry about what they're going to do for me.
Mm-hmm.
How am I going to make sure I provide for my family? And Lazina, as I hope as not doesn't come off sexist, but I'm just
No,
saying,
no, go for it.
how am I as a man gonna go ask another man or woman
Mhm.
for my time or have control of my money?
Mhm.
I'm
Mm-hmm.
gonna go out there as a man and do it myself. And I'll be damned if my wife will ever have to go ask another man for her time,
Mhm.
Absolutely.
because I'm the one that's gonna provide for my family. I'm not gonna rely on government. I'm not gonna rely on a company. I'm not gonna rely on a boss. I'm gonna go out there and make it. There's a saying that um I can't remember his name right now. We had him in one of our recent events. Um, call him the hip hop preacher. I can't remember his name right now.
I think I saw that
Uh,
you guys posted about him too. I think
yeah,
I don't know his name, but I know you.
I love his content,
Yeah.
but
Mm.
one of the things that he said was, "I would rather die on my own 2 feet than on my knees begging for somebody else to help me,
Mm,
because I'm gonna make
Indeed.
the I'm gonna make it happen."
yeah.
And if we want to make a change in society, we as a collective society needs to wonder, how do we get the self-improvement we need
Mhm.
to seek out the other two, the time and money freedom?
Yeah.
Because if we don't have that, the others
Mm-hmm.
won't even work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's all I'm going to say is seek out self-improvement. Make sure that that's a major part of your budget.
Yeah.
Make sure
Mm-hmm.
that you're going to seminars, you're reading books, you're involving yourself in environments of growth.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Your circle is a circle of miserable people that love to complain. You're in the wrong circle.
Absolutely.
But if your circle is a group of people that are talking about bigger things and growth and development and moving ahead,
Mhm.
you're in the right place. There's one last thing I'm going to say is that if you're the least successful person in a circle, you're in the right one.
Yeah.
If you're in the most successful person in that circle, you're in the wrong place.
Mm.
Get out and grow.
Yes. Your network is your neck
Net
work. Yeah.
Work and networks, right? Yeah.
Between the three of us, one of us said it the right way.
Between us, we'll get it right.
Yeah. Thank you so much. That's a very powerful message. I do agree with
Right.
you 100%. That's my message too. I think personal development has been so transformational in my life, and not just mine, for my
Mm-hmm.
children as well. And it's something that I champion every single day. I feel like I grow up ready to grow even more. What's the next challenge that I need to overcome? And I do. I I support that message very much. Nashid, do you have anything?
Absolutely, absolutely. I just love what Vishu said, like, and you as well, right? So for me, it's something like a self belief is another part. You're in the wrong circle because you're the boss. And what I see during this couple of years, talking, working, mentoring to different people, there are still a couple of the mindsets is something like they know everything, and I really hate this word. Like, you can't know, you don't know anything. You're always believe. So, and that period of time, and the one is we cannot change them. And so, even though people are in the growth mindsets, slides and lecturing, but still their mind is like they know everything and others.
Mhm.
So we need to come out from that portion of time.
Yeah.
And what I practice is like Friday. Friday is like here is Friday is the weekend, right? So our weekend is Friday and Saturday. So Friday is my day. I need to see YouTube. I need to read books. I need to go to seminars, summits, and okay, if that priorities are filled, then maybe, uh, of course, spend time with the families as well. But you need to have a self growth, and you never stop learning, honestly. And being this era of AI, the new technologies, those people knows many things, but you need to use them, right? So uh, you need to use them to increase your productivity and keep increasing your learning. So I 100% agree that Vishu, what you said, like, learnings never stop. And if you want to uplift and make things happen, keep going and never stop learning.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Couldn't have said it better
Absolutely.
myself. Yay. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Vishnu, if anyone would like to connect with you, how can they get a hold of
Right.
Instagram
you? Okay.
at the real Vishnu Singh. I'm always available. Um, you might, I'll get back to you if I don't answer right away. Don't
Yeah.
don't think I'm ignoring you. But I love to meet people. I love to network. Love to connect. So feel free to reach out anytime.
Okay. I'll make sure to add that in the show notes so that way,
Yeah,
you are reachable and I'll tag you on everywhere.
absolutely.
Perfect.
Expect lots of tag and she's gonna do it too.
Actually,
I'm good
what
at it. I'm good at it.
I was sitting here this whole time and only realized right now that my cup that I happened to grab just coincidentally, it actually means be greater than the
Yes.
average.
Awesome.
Appropriate for the day.
I think
Yeah,
everything fell into alignment. I agree. Well, gentlemen,
yeah,
it was lovely communicating with you guys today. I appreciate all the
absolutely.
insight that you have. I think each of you are extremely valuable, and you have you're not what I love about our connections and what I know about you is that everything that you do comes from your heart. It is an
Mhm.
embodiment of who you are. I don't know Vishnu to have a single negative thought towards anyone else, or I mean if he does he didn't tell me, but but like just genuinely the person that I know has always been kind-hearted and operates from a lot of really love and just wanting the best for everyone, and
Mhm.
that meant wanting the best for himself in the first place. And I recognize that. And Nasheed, I know that you also move from your heart. I As much as our thoughts can, is our thoughts are what makes our reality, and the more we have better self-talk and better thoughts there, it improves our
Right.
lives. Once we are coming from our heart, that is the best space that we can outpour love from. And I appreciate that we are able to have this connection and have this recording. So
Yeah,
until
absolutely.
next time, that is all.